You wouldn't expect it, but the Pontiac Tempest showed up and gave those big muscle cars a run for their money. This little bad boy had an engine with only 4 cylinders, which at first confused people, but also made them curious to see what it could do on the road. So let's take a closer look at this little ride together. The people at Pontiac saw how well Chevrolet's Corvair was doing in the compact car market and wanted to join in on that action. At first, they were planning to copy Chevy's popular ride, but GM had something new up their sleeve. They allowed Pontiac to create an entirely different car, one codenamed X100. John Z. DeLorean took charge of this exciting project as chief engineer and general manager for the division. His goal was so much more than just creating another compact vehicle. He set out to make it special using parts already available through General Motors. A year later came the Tempest. Motor Trend magazine labeled it their car of 1961. Road and Track praised it too. They described it as especially spacious and said it ranked up there with one of the best utility cars since the Ford Model A. But while many praised its comfort and design features, later on, John himself admitted there was one issue. The rattling noise coming out of these cars made them sound like they had rocks rolling around inside their trunks. The first generation Tempest was a cool little car that had some unique features to set it apart from other small cars made by General Motors. It even shared sheet metal with the Oldsmobile F85. The engine was called Trophy 4 and could go up to 195 cubic inches. This special engine came from Pontiac's big Trophy V8, but only used one side of the 8 cylinders. One really interesting thing about the Tempest was how its drivetrain worked. Instead of having a drive shaft like most cars, it put its rear wheels on an axle all by itself, a transaxle. To make this work right, there needed to be some way for power from the Trophy 4 motor to get back there without wobbling too much or making weird noises. So what did they do? They installed something called a torque shaft that curved down low through tunnels under your feet while driving. Now here's where things get fun. To make a car run smoothly, there needs to be a strong and flexible shaft that connects the engine to the back wheels. This is where SAE 8660 steel comes in. It's an alloy made with high nickel, chrome, and molybdenum percentages that provide just the right balance of strength and flexibility. For cars with automatic transmissions, this shaft is about 17 millimeters wide. That's less than an inch, by over 2 meters long. And for manual transmissions, the same length but slightly wider at around 19 millimeters. This road drive design was first introduced in General Motors' LeSabre concept car back in '51, but now it helps reduce vibrations, making your ride smoother without any bumps from transmission humps. The juicy part is that the combination of a rear-mounted transaxle and front-mounted engine gave it a weight balance of 50-50 between its front and rear sides, which made it very nimble to handle, especially when driving around curves or corners. Additionally, having a 4-wheel independent suspension further enhanced its smooth handling during rides. But did you know why Pontiac chose the Trophy 4 engine? Well, it was promoted for its fuel efficiency. This special engine was designed for economy, but it also helped Pontiac cut costs because it could be assembled using parts from another V8 model. There were 3 versions of this cleverly engineered 4-cylinder powerhouse. One with low compression and only one carburetor for people who wanted maximum savings at the pump, a hotter version with better performance specs and still just one carburetor, or finally the most powerful Trophy 4, which had higher compression ratios plus an extra 4-barrel configuration in its carburation system. While the Trophy 4 engine with a single-barrel carburetor could produce between 110 to 140 horsepower, the high-compression version with 4 barrels packs an extra punch at 166 horsepower. It also boasts a strong torque of up to 215 pounds per foot. In addition to the Trophy 4, there was another cool option for the Tempest in 1961 and 1962. A fancy aluminum Buick-built V8 with 215 cubic inches. It turns out that only 3,662 of these engines were ordered for the car, which is just about 1% of all production. But get this, even though it weighs as little as 330 pounds when installed, it produces anywhere between 155 to 215 horsepower. You might be interested to know that the engine blocks used for its 215 V8 engines were actually quite unique. These particular engine blocks had both Buick factory markings and individual vehicle identification numbers hand-stamped at the Pontiac plant where they were installed. The stamping started with 161P in 1961 and switched to 162P in 1962. These code numbers also indicated whether a car had a manual or automatic transmission. If you're looking for an efficient vehicle to help save on fuel, the 3 different versions of the Trophy 4 engines offer ratings ranging from 18 to 22 miles per gallon. And according to Popular Mechanics magazine, one version gets about 21 miles per gallon when driving at 60 miles per hour. Back in 1961, your choices for transmission were either a 3-speed column shift manual with no synchronized first gear or a 2-speed automatic transaxle that you controlled with a small lever to the right of the ignition switch on the dashboard. It was called the Tempest Torque by company people, but wasn't labeled as such until 1963. This type of transmission was kind of like what Chevrolet used for their Powerglide automatics on their Corvair cars, although they didn't share many parts between them. The next year, in 1962, though, Pontiac came out with an even better option: a fully synchronized 4-speed manual gearbox that mounted onto your car's floor. The Tempest gave you a lot of choices when it came to features like air conditioning, transistor radios, windshield washers that work great, and parking brake warning lights. Plus, there were some safety measures too. The dashboard was padded for extra protection in case of accidents, door locks would protect your kids from kicking doors open while driving, and get this, seatbelts weren't required by law when the Tempest first came out. But don't worry, dealerships offered them as an option anyway for those who wanted extra protection while cruising down the road. And here's a cool fact for you. The Tempest was different from other cars in the wide-body series because of its 9-inch brake drum and 5 studs on the same bolt circle. The setup made it unique among General Motors cars, as Buick and Oldsmobile had standardized their wide-bodies with an odd setup of a smaller 9.5-inch brake drum with 4 lug nuts on an 11-centimeter diameter circle, called 4-on-4.5 by experts, paired with 14-inch wheels. Even more fascinating is that this arrangement wasn't used for any other GM cars at the time. Plus, the 1961 Tempest had a really cool look on the outside as well. It had 2 grills that made people think of its bigger family member, the Pontiac Catalina. Later in 1963, they stretched it out 5 inches, but still called it a compact car. The new model featured some stylish fenders and an updated dashboard design with a sleek hood over it for added flair. When the Tempest first came out, it was only sold as a sedan with 4 doors and a wagon that also had Safari in its name, which is what Pontiac wagons were called back then. Later on, they added 2 coupes to the lineup toward the end of 1961. One of these coupes was even named LeMans. These cars all looked like the ones from 1961, so you wouldn't have been able to tell that anything changed just by looking at them. But later in 1962, there were 4 different Tempest cars for sale: a sedan, coupe, station wagon, and convertible. If you wanted something more special, you could choose the package called LeMans, which came with comfy front bucket seats. The LeMans was only available as either a coupe or convertible, not in sedan or station wagon form. However, even though Oldsmobile and Buick had cool pillarless hardtops on their Cutlass and Skylark models respectively, Pontiac did not offer one like that on their LeMans model. In 1963, the LeMans got its own series. It was super popular and made up almost half of all Tempest and LeMans cars sold. The senior compacts released that year were slightly bigger and heavier than their predecessors from 1961 to 1962. They came fitted with an upgraded transaxle system, which improved how they handled on the roads. Additionally, there was now a high-performance option available for those seeking more power under the hood, much stronger compared to the rarely ordered 215 V8 engine. This upgrade was called the Pontiac's 326 cubic inch V8. It had a high compression ratio and could produce 260 horsepower with an impressive torque of 352 pounds per foot. It looked like the older Trophy 8 model on the outside, but had upgraded internal parts that made it produce even more torque. To accommodate this powerful engine, there was also a redesigned automatic transmission specially designed to handle its increased strength, which was named the Tempest Torque. Sadly, not many Tempests featured a 4-speed manual transmission because it wasn't adapted yet, so very few were produced. However, the 3-speed manual transmission remained available no matter what kind of motor you picked. One of the most well-known Tempests is a group of 12 Super Duty cars made in 1963 to race in an NHRA competition category called Factory Experimental. These cool cars were built at the Pontiac factory during Christmas time back in 1962, when General Motors was just about to make it illegal for their factories to participate in races like this. One talented driver named Wild Bill Shrewsbury had success racing these speedy machines and set records with low 12-second quarter-mile runs during the Winter Nationals event held by Mickey Thompson Racing. And get this, he still has it today. What's really cool is that his Super Duty used a special transmission called Power Shift. It let him shift gears without using a clutch, kind of like how drag racers do now. But we've reached the end of the video, and after taking a closer look at it, we can say that the 1961 to 1963 Pontiac Tempest is pretty remarkable. It was known for its clever design in the compact car industry back then and paved the way for future sporty cars. Even today, this car holds special importance among people who love automobiles because of how significant it was in history. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more awesome content like it. Also, please give the video a thumbs up and leave your thoughts in the comments section below.